Joining us now is Congressman Mike Rogers, who represents Michigan's 8th District. The congressman specializes in health care and energy issues and sits on the Energy and Commerce Committee, and he's also the ranking Republican on the subcommittee overseeing terrorism, human intelligence analysis, and counterintelligence. And he's made regular visits to Afghanistan. Mike, thank you for being with us very much.
Fred, it is great to hear your voice again.
Well, you've spoken out and been a leader with regard to the issues that are affecting us most right now. And first on health care, I was delighted to see you point out that at best it looks like that we're going through all this national turmoil to change 1/6 of our economy in order to affect 7% of our people?
Exactly, and so even by the president's number, there's about 300 million of us. 270 million Americans have earned some form of health care in their lives, and 30 million need to be fixed. And so what we've decided to do is punish the 270 million, change the way they get health care, punish the employers that give it to them in order to try to get it to 30 million people. And the worst part of it, Fred, is that when the bill is done, according to their own numbers, 18 million still won't have it. So they did all of this, changed our health care, cut Medicare, taxed everything from the bedpan that you might use to your MRI, to your X-ray, to your IV, in order to try to solve the problem for not even the 7%. And it defies logic that this is the way they'd approach this problem.
And they're claiming that they can tax all this, do all this, and put it all on the backs of the people who supply those bedpans and whatnot, and that won't be passed on to the consumer.
Well, which you and I both know that's ridiculous. And you think about it, everything you touch now in the doctor's office, when they take your blood pressure, there's a tax on it. If they give you a shot, there's a tax on it. When the doctor changes gloves, there's a tax on it. When they change the paper on the thing you sit on at the doctor's office, the table, there's a tax on it. And how they think adding all of that cost to every time you go see the doctor is going to make it cheaper and it's going to be free for somebody else is beyond me.
There's only two ways to lower costs, and that is to have the government come in and mandate it and fix prices, or let the free enterprise system work the way we do in every other aspect of the economy, and they haven't figured that out yet. But you touch on something here that really hasn't been talked about much, and that is, with that number of people still left uninsured, they're probably sitting over there thinking about health care reform part 2.
Well, they're going to have to, because if you think about it, that's not even 50% of the problem, right? According to the president in his speech to the Joint Congress used the number 30 million unemployed, and normally you hear the number 46. So what he did is took out illegal immigrants.
Right.
And even though, unfortunately, the nonpartisan CBO says they'll still be covered under this bill. But okay, he took those out. He wants to fix it for those 30 million. 18 million when it's all said and done. This is the Senate bill that came out. Well, heck, you mean you're going to change the whole system for 93% of Americans? You're going to punish them with higher premiums because they're going to tax those, higher office visits because they tax everything in the doctor's office. They're going to limit the choices that you have, and you can't even get 50% of the problem fixed.
Mike, they have decided that for cosmetic purposes, that over on the Senate side and the Finance Committee, that they needed to keep it under $1 trillion, right? Yeah. So that's the reason that they don't cover everybody, and that they'll wait, and when the dust settles and their idea, they'll come with another health care bill just like this to take care of everybody else with increased cost and so forth. But they're using, in order to get those numbers down, they're using assumptions that are totally fallacious, aren't they?
Oh gosh, oh absolutely. And here's the best one on that. You'll love this. So they said, isn't this fantastic? We're only going to add more to the deficit, by the way, for whatever it is, $50 billion, according to their numbers.
Mm-hmm.
And we got it under the president's mandate of $900 billion. Isn't this, they were all high-fiving,
right,
patting each other on the back and popping corks and saying, isn't this fantastic? Here's how they did it. You're right. A, they didn't cover everybody. That's the huge one, number one. And number two, they said here's 10 years of revenue. In other words, the taxes in the bill starts immediately, but the services don't start till 2013. They didn't quite figure that in. So in other words, they took the 4 years of tax revenue where there was no new service and counted it in their 10-year window.
Yeah.
And so if you say, wait a minute, that's not fair. There's not one service you're going to spend on in year one, but you are going to collect taxes from everybody in year one.
Exactly.
You should count the real cost of the program. The real cost of their program as they presented it, as flawed as it is $1.8 trillion. And and my argument, and I think you did this well when you were in the Senate, just be honest about the debate. If that's what you think is right for the country, then have the courage to stand up and say, I think we ought to spend $1.8 trillion that we don't have to cover 50% of the people who are unemployed, and I'm going to take your health care away to do it. They ought to have the courage to defend their position, but they don't want to.
That's exactly right. But you're absolutely right. The thing, there are problems with our entitlement program. They're bankrupting us.
Sure.
There's no question about that. But instead of putting the cards on the table and speaking truthfully, everybody can have everything. It's a free lunch. We'll put the costs off onto to somebody else. We'll have hypothetical savings that we know are not going to come about. We're going to claim that we're going to cut Medicare and doctors' fees and things like that, which we never do. We're going to cut an existing entitlement as we adding a new entitlement. That won't happen, and it's totally dishonest and fallacious. And,
absolutely.
I hope the American people see that through.
Here's the other part of that. They said, listen, if you have this government plan in the exchange, it will save. I think the figure they use is $130 billion over 10 years. So I started asking some questions. That's really interesting. How do you figure that works? And you know how it works? Because the plan does not pay cost to the doctor. So they're going to subject the American system of health care to more people who are not paying the actual cost, which means those who are left with a private insurance company, their premiums, their rates, their costs are only going up because that's how they kind of work. And that's how the system balances out. People with insurance end up paying for Medicare people because they don't cover costs.
Yeah.
Can you imagine the financial ruin we're facing by shoving 100 million people into what they call it Medicare plus 5?
And we're just going to have people continue to come in and want to be doctors and so forth. We have a shortage of doctors in a lot of places now, and this is going to drive people out of the business. There is absolutely no question about it. Mike, I know you've got to run. I appreciate it. I want to get you back and talk about Afghanistan. Thank you for being with us today.
Hey, thanks for
appreciate
great to hear your voice again, my friend.
Good to talk to you.
Bye.